Hello everyone, I'm Joe Zgacki and welcome to Hurricane Game Day with head baseball coach Jim Morris. Coming up on the show, another big road series win for the Canes at North Carolina. We'll talk about it with the Hurricane skipper. We'll also take a close look at the art of switch hitting, and shortstop Steven Perez joins us right here in the studio. Hurricane Game Day starts right now.
Okay, here we go. Let's go.
Hello everyone and welcome to Hurricane Game Day with University of Miami head coach Jim Morris. I'm Joe Zgacki alongside the skipper of the Hurricanes, the University of Miami. Last weekend, a big three-game series against North Carolina, and Miami took 2 out of 3. Coming up this weekend, Florida State comes to town. We'll talk about the Noles a little bit later on in the show. But first, Coach, congratulations. Your team continues to roll right along, battling Georgia Tech and Virginia, a big series win against Carolina.
Well, you're right. I mean, they'd won 19 in a row, and their RPI and their rankings were in the top 10. So, it was a huge weekend for us, and they'd had that 19-game hitting streak, so they played pretty good at home. And I thought we did really well. Of course, to win a doubleheader is tough in one day, I'm telling you. I hate doubleheaders. It's just hard to sweep 2 games.
Well, the baseball guys haven't been too kind to you in that department because it seems like every time you go on the road, you get rained out and then have to play a doubleheader. And as you mentioned, they are very difficult to sweep.
Well, you're right, and I don't remember having 3 doubleheaders in 1 year in the ACC. I think this is something that's been very unusual, but we played pretty good at them so far.
Before we talk more about Carolina, can these doubleheaders, you take something out of it in terms of when you get to the postseason, in the regional in particular, you might have to play a doubleheader, and your team will be battle-tested in terms of playing 2 games in the same day?
Well, you could, but you got to handle your bullpen difference. Is the real deal. And we're very fortunate that Miranda and Robinson have both close games, and Miller's throwing really good late in the bullpen right now, so as a setup guy. So, but I feel like Robinson or Miranda can close the game, so that helps us. And you can't do it the same game.
All right, let's talk about the sweep, the doubleheader sweep first against North Carolina. You had a great combination there of clutch hitting in the first game, had to rally, good pitching also in when you needed it in both games.
Well, you're right, and I was really proud of the fact that we could have died letting them come back late, and they were pretty much into the game. The crowd was into the game when they come back and tied it up in the 9th inning, and then we put up an 8 spot. So that was pretty good, and we played good the second game too to make it a sweep.
Guess what goes around comes around. Earlier in the year, you played Georgia Tech. They put up a big.
We don't want to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that. That was with 2 outs, but then you did it to Carolina.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you feel like you're kind of helpless as a coach. Things start happening, a couple line drives, a couple bloops, a gapper maybe, and whatever, and all of a sudden it's 8. It's kind of like that golfer that got a 16. It's going and you can't stop it.
Your RPI is up to 14 in the country with Florida State coming in, so your RPI continues to climb, and you continue to take care of business as well in the non-conference games.
Well, you're right, and that RPI is a very important thing. Last week we went from 23 to 14 against Carolina, so that really helps us. Florida State's RPI is 7, and that rating power index, if anyone doesn't know, that's what it stands for. It just rates the schedule you'll play, the toughness of your schedule, who beats who, and the team that you beat, how did they do against the other team. So it's a very important thing. It's used in seeding for the NCAA tournament.
You've won, except for Georgia Tech, every series in the ACC. And of course, your goal is to win all of them, win all the series. And so you're taking care of business inside the conference.
Well, I think, the last month and a half or so, 2 months, we played really well, and we've got it done late and got some big hits. I think a big thing is the hitting has been much better, and it's given the pitcher a chance maybe to relax a little bit, not so much pressure on them in the defense.
Why do you think the hitting has improved so much?
I think the guys relaxed, and we just started swinging the bat a little bit more. Maybe we were trying to maybe emphasize and get on top of the ball too much. Just go up there and get your hacks in and relax a little bit, and that's what I try to get them to do. Also,
we talk about winning these series against conference opponents, but in the non-conference a week ago, you took on Bethune-Cookman, you beat them. Often Bethune-Cookman makes it into the NCAA tournament, but outside the conference, you're winning those games as well.
Well, it's just as important. I mean, you look at the weekend games of Florida State or North Carolina or whoever it may be, but the real deal is those middle of the week games can destroy your RPI and your rankings if you don't win that game on Tuesday and Wednesday or whichever day you play on. But those games are just as important.
All right, no question about that. Florida State will pay a visit this weekend to Alex Rodriguez Park. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back here on Hurricane Game Day, we will show you the art of the switch hitter. Hurricane Game Day on CSS. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hurricane Game Day here on CSS. In baseball, hitting the ball is hard enough, at least it was for me. Being effective from both sides of the plate is much harder. In this week's Unlimited Access, Scott Braun takes a closer look at the valuable art of switch hitting.
It is what many experts deem the hardest thing to do in sports. The moment of contact when a bat strikes a ball lasts just 1/1000th of a second. So if you perfect your swing and can hit a baseball at the D1 college level, why would you want to go through the process all over again from the opposite side of the plate?
I wouldn't want to face lefty on lefty or righty on righty. I mean, it's completely, I can see the curveballs a lot easier, and it's a big advantage for me.
A righty pitcher holds the upper hand when he faces a righty hitter. Same goes for lefty on lefty. It makes it more difficult for the hitter to see the ball released out of the pitcher's hand. Switch hitting eliminates that edge by learning to bat from the right side against lefties and the left side against righties.
I mean, when I was younger, probably my freshman year in high school, my dad and I were in the cage messing around hitting and took some swings from the left side, and my dad thought that my swing looked pretty good, so I kind of stuck with it. I mean, I'm at a point right now in my career to where I'm comfortable from both sides of the plate.
It's done a lot of times either at a very early age, or in some cases maybe a guy can really run and he's not that good of a right-handed hitter, and they say, well, let's make you the left-handed hitter because a step or two closer to first base. Steven Perez switch hit for basically all his life, whereas Zeke learned later in life to be a switch hitter. So it wasn't something he did all the time. He did it because he can really run.
I think it's a big advantage. You know, you're getting to see more and more of the matchup game in college, especially late in the games where they'll rotate to the bullpen and they'll try to bring in a lefty against a lefty and a righty against a righty. And especially in our league, those guys are really good at executing pitches and make it tough on them, you know, with the breaking balls and expanding balls away. So anytime you can get a lefty that's facing a right-hander and then they bring in another lefty and he can switch around to go to the right side, it helps you because it's obviously more of an advantage for a hitter facing the opposite side.
Well, you think it's an advantage just because you feel like they can't come in and bring a left-hander to pitch against, you know, 3 left-handed hitters in a row. So it takes away that part of the strategy for the other team.
It seems like this is a down year. We only have 2 switch hitters in our lineup, but you know, I don't know if there's necessarily a reason for that. It's just a versatile thing you look for, and it's very attractive when you find a recruit that can do that. They can swing the bat both sides and be effective at it.
The UM program has recently featured star switch hitters, including first-rounders Jemile Weeks and Yasmani Grandal. Grandal was tops in the ACC, hitting .411 last season for the Canes, while mentoring the young switch hitters.
I learned a lot last year from Yasmani. He taught me a lot as far as switch hitting.
Sometimes as a switcher, you have one day that you feel better from the other side. Well, I mean, you can kind of see how Yasmani was, definitely. He made both days feel great.
Well, I'm not sure that we actually just seek out switch hitters, but if we see a switch hitter, we think it's definitely an advantage.
That's something that a lot of coaches and a lot of organizations look at, because that's a really valuable thing. If there's a right-hander throwing, then you're hitting from the left side. If there's a left-hander throwing, you're hitting from the right side. That's a very valuable aspect because you see the ball better. You know, batting left-handed against righties and batting right-handed against lefties, you see the ball better. So.
Switch hitting is a gold star on a hitter's resume, but it doesn't necessarily equate to success from both sides of the plate. Lance Berkman of the St. Louis Cardinals says that it is extremely difficult to be a switch hitter in the majors. In fact, Berkman said, if I could do it all over again, I would just bat left-handed.
Early on, when I just started switch hitting, I thought about that a lot, and I just had to push through and stick with it.
Well, the saying here is it's not half the work, it's double the work. So, you know, when our right-hander would come in the cage and get his swings in, our switch guys got to go as many swings as they get right-handed, they got to do the same thing left-handed. So it's double the work. It's tough.
You have to be more patient. You just got to figure it out. You got to take a lot more hacks because you got to work both sides. And just sometimes it's like you said, you're gonna feel better from one side than the other. But sometimes it works, you know.
Now Zeke's going to show us a few differences from batting on the right side of the plate compared to the left side of the plate. Want to show us, Zeke?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, when you're on the right side of the plate, my stance is somewhat similar from both sides. But when you're on the right side of the plate, you're mostly seeing the ball with your left eye. So switching over, it's kind of hard because when you switch over, you're seeing it with your right eye. So that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with. But I feel like right-handed is my that was what I originally was. So I definitely feel a lot more comfortable from the right side of the plate.
So what did you first start at as you were a little kid? Which side of the plate did you hit on?
I was originally a right-handed hitter.
Okay, so naturally a righty, but then you learn how to be a lefty just as well as being a righty. Can you show me, though, the learning process for you in terms of seeing the baseball, in terms of getting your stance to be just as good from that other side of the plate?
Yeah, definitely. I switched over probably, like I said, in 9th grade. I started hitting from the left side of the plate. And I think the hardest thing for me was just seeing pitches, because like I said, you're seeing it with your other eye. So you're going to be dominant right eye from the left side of the plate. And I think the hardest thing for me was just seeing pitches and getting reps, and because that's the easiest way to learn is to just see live pitches. So the hardest thing for me was to just get that down and to know what it feels like to see a pitch from the left side of the plate. So now I'm at a point where I feel comfortable from both sides of the plate.
It is a gold star on a hitter's resume, but there are very few successful switch hitters in Major League history. So is batting from both sides of the plate a dying art?
I still like swinging from the right side too every once in a while because I definitely wouldn't want to face some of those lefties out there.
A special thanks to UMTV students Matt Small and Scott Braun for putting that together for us. Coach, not easy to learn how to switch hit. In fact, I used to apply to the theory, Mama, let your sons grow up to be left-handed hitters.
Well, that's a lot of kids, they did try to be left-handed hitters, but it is tough to be a switch hitter, no question. And I was a switch hitter. I always referred to myself as a switch swinger, by the way. But the real deal is it takes twice as much work, and I think every switch hitter that's played for me, going back for many, many years, always got twice as much batting practice. So they like that, but it takes twice as much work, and I'm not sure that at most places that's the case where you do get twice as much work, you get twice as many swings. You kind of cheating the guys behind you, but I'm a little prejudiced of switch hitters.
Sometimes you hear this, guys want to be a switch hitter, and you hear a manager or somebody along the line say, learn how to hit from one side of the plate first before you try to hit from both sides of the plate.
Well, that's the case, and I've also had guys that want to be a switcher. Maybe was an outstanding right-handed hitter, and an example of that's Javi Rodriguez. He wanted to learn how to switch hit. After he got here, and he talked about his sophomore year, but he was hitting 400 as a right-handed hitter. I went, wait a minute, you just stick with hitting a 400, but a lot of times he goes to guys who can really run, like a Zeke or Steven Perez. Those two guys can run, and most of the time I see who it goes to. Those guys can really run.
From a managerial standpoint, though, it does give you versatility in your lineup.
Well, it does, and it changes the way the opposing coach makes decisions on whether he's going to bring in left-handers or right-handers, and most left-handed hitters or most switch hitters have a stronger side than the other, and most switch hitters are better right-handed hitters than left-handed hitters, it seems like. So it varies, of course, but I think that's been the case over the years.
It was interesting, Zeke said he started switch hitting in the 9th grade, which I think is kind of late. Most kids start learning how to switch hit, I think it's prior to 9th grade.
Well, they do. I think Steven started at an early age. I'm not sure how early. I didn't really start switch hitting until my junior year of college. So it was a thing. I worked on it for a year before I ever really started switch hitting in games in college, and that was my junior year.
All right, the best switch hitter, maybe Eddie Murray.
Eddie Murray's Mickey Mantle was not bad.
Mickey Mantle wasn't bad, yeah.
Mickey Mantle.
You got me on that one.
I got to be on Mickey. He could hit for power and run.
You were right behind Mickey Mantle and Eddie Murray, right?
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. You're watching Hurricane Game Day here on CSS, and when we come back, shortstop Steven Perez joins us right here on Hurricane Game Day with head coach Jim Morris. Welcome back to Hurricane Game Day with University of Miami head coach Jim Morris. Joe Zagacki alongside the skipper, and joining us on the set now is outstanding shortstop Steven Perez. Steven, welcome. How you doing?
Pretty good, and how about yourself?
Very good. Exciting series against North Carolina. Go up to Boschhammer Stadium. They got a great winning streak going on. Not only do you take one, but you take two in the same day.
Yes, that was very exciting, and that was great for our team and with the RPIs and everything.
Coach, nice to have him back in the lineup. That range at shortstop is pretty apparent.
Well, it is. I mean, it's so important. Of course, I'm prejudiced shortstops, as Steve and everybody else knows. The guys that can play that position. It's the toughest position on the field to play, maybe other than catcher. But it's a tough position to be consistent and you got to be able to run, you got to be able to throw, you got to have good hands, you got to catch the ball. You can't knock it down, pick it up, and throw a guy out. And it's kind of a quarterback because you're running the pitching as far as picks, you're running cutoffs, you're doing a lot of things. So, but you played it all your life, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been exciting. It's awesome because you're pretty much running the infield yourself, and you got to let guys know where to go and let them know what's going on around them and helping them out as much as possible.
You were hurt earlier in the year and had to miss a couple of weeks. How tough was that for you?
I mean, it was kind of stressful at the same time because I got to see the guys playing. I'm not really used to sitting down much at all, and it was kind of boring at the time. But like I was cheering on the guys and trying to help, like going to treatment every day and doing all that kind of stuff to try to help the team as much as possible.
Coach, you've had some great shortstops through the years. But Stephen, the old general manager of the Phillies, Dallas Green, used to say, have a 2-out shortstop. When the ball is hit to the shortstop with 2 outs, a guy that can make the play. And Stephen would fit that mold, right?
Exactly. I mean, he's a guy that can catch and throw, and he's got good range and knows how to play the game, and that's very, very important. You got to feel guy. I mean, I think Stephen probably feels the same way. I know for me as a shortstop, if I'm playing, I want him to hit it to me because I knew the game was over with. Probably the same way you feel.
Oh, definitely. You want to have a plan up there every single time before the ball is even hit to you. And definitely, as a shortstop, all growing up in your life, you always see yourself in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, and you want that ground ball hit to you to make it in the last play.
Florida State comes calling this weekend. You have to be looking forward to playing the Florida State Seminoles.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's an exciting rivalry, and it's just fun. That's what I look at it. It's nothing else but fun. Just another game also at the same time. You don't want to make it more than what it is, but you also got to win and know that this is going to help us a lot if we win.
So was he an easy recruit, Coach?
No, not really. That's another story. Another story. But the real deal is that I think he grew up wanting to come here, but it was a little bit of some confusion in the process for 24 hours or something. We got it straightened out a week or whatever. I don't know. But we're lucky we got him committed very early. Of course, Gulliver right here in Miami. So he's started ever since his freshman year, and he's done a great job for us.
We were talking a little bit about switch hitting before, and Coach was asking you when did your dad get you started? How influential has your father been in your baseball career?
Oh, he's been there all my life. I mean, since I was a young kid at 4 years old, he was the one that started me playing baseball, and he's always told me my glove was going to be my thing, and it was going to carry me very far. So I mean, he's inspired me a lot, and I continue to look up to him.
That's true for a shortstop. They always say if you can hit, you can play in the big leagues. But for a shortstop, you got to be able to have the glove, right?
Definitely. I mean, shortstops, you got to have the glove. It's the one main thing you got to have, and your awareness, I believe, and being able to use your feet and your arm and all the things combined. And also, you want to hit a little bit, and you want to get your average up there. But the main thing is your glove.
How much of an adjustment has offense been for you in college baseball?
Oh, it's definitely been a big adjustment, especially the mental side of the game. I mean, it's been a little rough for me, at least from last year to this year. I mean, I still struggle at times, but I'm working on it, and I'm trying to improve as much as possible.
And from your perspective, Coach, it's got to be great when you look out there and see the left side of the infield anchored by Stephen.
Well, it is. I think the game's changed back to a little bit the old school with the new bats and I hate to say it, but the drug testing and everything. You're not going to see every shortstop in the major leagues is 6'3" and hitting 30 home runs. You're going to see more of the prototype shortstop that's grown up in life, playing great defense and getting timely hitting and getting on base, but playing solid defense. And you're going to see that more and more at this level and at Major League Baseball, like it used to be, 25 years ago.
Stephen, what do you think the key is for you defensively? Do you see the ball really well coming off the bat? Do you have is it the instincts of which way you're going, right or left? What is the key for you when you're out there playing shortstop?
I go based on depending on the pitcher, how he's pitching the hitters, and how the hitters hit. Like depending on their swings, if they're a guy who rolls over the ball, I might play pull a little more than as opposed to, especially if they're throwing them inside. I'm definitely going to react more to the right side of the infield as opposed to the left side.
Well, I love when he's out there because I know going left or right, he's going to get his glove on the ball and got a chance to make a great play. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Best of luck against Florida State. All right, that's shortstop Stephen Perez. When we come back, the coach and I will talk about the Seminoles coming in this weekend to Alex Rodriguez Park. We'll talk more about that right here on Hurricane Game Day on CSS. Back on Hurricane Game Day here on CSS, Joe Zagacki alongside University of Miami skipper Jim Morris. This weekend, Florida State comes in to Alex Rodriguez Park, and it should be a great weekend of baseball, great crowds. It is a great rivalry between Miami and Florida State in all sports, but really in baseball.
You're right. I mean, I don't think there's any bigger rivalry in the United States the last 30, 40 years. I don't know how long we go back, a long, long time with Coach Frazier. And, of course, now my 18 years we've been here, we're two of the top programs in the country, and it's always a battle, and it's always unique. It's always something every series that happens that kind of sets it apart. And both teams are normally in the top 20 or top 10 or sometimes top 5. And we've even played when we were 1-2, so it's a great rivalry.
You've played him for the national championship. You've played him in the ACC tournament.
Yes, we have.
You like that ring?
I'll get me in trouble doing that,
Okay.
but I wore it today especially.
But they're coming in hot. They're playing really good baseball right now.
They are. I mean, they got a really solid club. They're well coached, and they're a very team-oriented program, good pitching. They're just very solid with a good coaching staff, and it's always fun to play.
They've had to change the way they're approached through the years. There was a time where they were a power hitting team, then Mike Martin kind of switched to a bunting and a running team, moved the runners along. What kind of club does he have this year?
I mean, he's more of a club like he's been the last few years. He did go through a stage, I felt like, where they bunted a lot. And they changed where now they bunt when they need to bunt, and they move the runners around. It's a team-type baseball. It's a very team-oriented offense, and be honest, we try to do the same thing. It's what we're trying to do, and we practice it every day. And yeah, we want guys to let them really swing the bat when there's a 3-1 count. We're not big into cloning hitters or anything, but situational baseball is very important.
Should see some premier pitching matchups in this one. Let's talk a little bit about your rotation and how you foresee it going for you this weekend.
Well, we're going to stay the same with B-Rad, Whaley, and Encanoso on Sunday. That'll be our rotation, and it's pretty much been pretty close to that. It's been those three guys all year.
Rzucki, the freshman's pitched very well for you, pitched with a lot of poise. Whaley's done a good job for you. Those guys are throwing strikes. The strikeout to walk ratio on your staff is very good.
It is outstanding, and that's fun because I hate walks. I'm telling you, I hate walks. Walks just set the tone of the game. The defense gets on their heel. The game gets long. Nobody likes the long games based on ball type situations. I like pitchers that go right after the hitters, and I think our pitchers are doing a great job of that. And it's easier to do it today with the bats than it was 5 years ago.
Well, Miranda certainly applies to your theory. Going into last weekend, he had one walk all year.
Yeah, and now I think he has two and like 35, 36 strikeouts. That's a pretty good ratio. You take that every day. Take it for a closer, a guy that comes in, you don't put the winning run on base, they're going to have to battle to get on base. They're going to get hit or do whatever. So it's good.
All right, should be a great weekend of baseball against Florida State. Look for some big crowds and the best of luck.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, that's University of Miami head coach Jim Morris. For the skipper, I'm Joe Zagacki and our entire crew. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Hurricane Game Day.